Most people don't quit gardening because they lack space. They quit because they lack patience. You buy the seeds, you prepare the soil, you water faithfully. Then you wait, and wait, and wait. For many vegetables, harvest feels like a distant reward hidden somewhere months away. By the time food finally appears, excitement is faded, motivation is gone, and many gardens end up abandoned. But what if that wasn't true? What if you could plant seeds today and start harvesting food before the month is over? The truth is, some vegetables grow so fast that you'll be harvesting while your neighbors are still reading seed packets. Some can go from bare soil to dinner plate in just a few weeks. Others can be harvested again and again before slower crops have even started getting comfortable. And one vegetable near the end grows so quickly that many gardeners harvest it before they can remember exactly when they planted it. Today, we're counting down 15 vegetables you can harvest in 30 days or less. At number 15, we have green onions. The easiest vegetable on today's list may not even require a trip to the garden center. In fact, there's a good chance you've thrown away dozens of them. Every time someone buys green onions from the grocery store, they usually use the tops and toss the white root ends into the trash. But those roots still contain plenty of life. Place them in a glass of water near a sunny window, and something remarkable begins happening. In as little as 7 days, fresh green shoots start growing again. Not weeks, not months, just days. That's faster than many vegetable seeds can even germinate. The first time people witness this, it feels almost like a gardening cheat code. You cut them, they regrow. You cut them again, they regrow again. And once transplanted into soil, the process becomes even more productive. What makes green onions especially valuable is how often they actually get used. Soups, salads, eggs, stir-fries, sandwiches, tacos, baked potatoes. They're one of those ingredients that quietly find their way into meals all week long. But perhaps the biggest reason beginners love green onions is confidence. Within a week, you're already seeing results. While many gardeners are still waiting for sprouts to emerge, you've already completed your first harvest. And that quick win can be the difference between someone giving up on gardening and becoming completely hooked. At number 14, we have arugula. Most vegetables ask for patience. Arugula asks for about 3 weeks. In just 21 days, you can begin harvesting tender baby leaves, while many gardeners are still staring at tomato seedlings, wondering when something exciting is finally going to happen. That's what makes arugula so addictive. The reward comes fast, really fast. The seeds germinate quickly, the plants grow aggressively, and before the month is over, you're already harvesting fresh greens. But speed isn't the only reason gardeners love it. Arugula has personality. Its peppery flavor stands out immediately. One handful can transform an ordinary salad into something far more interesting. And unlike many vegetables that disappear after harvest day, arugula keeps giving. Experienced gardeners rarely pull the entire plant. Instead, they harvest the outer leaves and leave the center growing. This cut-and-come-again system means a single planting can continue producing for weeks. Meanwhile, slower crops are still trying to get established. Another advantage is flexibility. A raised bed works. A container works. Even a window box can produce enough leaves for multiple harvests. Arugula proves something important. Fast-growing vegetables don't have to sacrifice flavor. Sometimes the quickest crops are also the ones you'll want to eat the most. At number 13, we have baby carrot greens. Most people think carrots are one of the slowest vegetables in the garden, and if you're waiting for the roots, that's true. Many varieties take 60 to 80 days before harvest. But here's the secret most gardeners overlook. You don't have to wait for the carrots. You can harvest the greens. In just 25 to 30 days, baby carrot greens are often large enough for a light harvest. While many gardeners are still wondering what's happening beneath the soil, you're already bringing fresh food into the kitchen. The young leaves are tender, flavorful, and can be added to salads, soups, pestos, or used as a garnish. What makes this crop special is the double reward. Most vegetables give you one harvest. Carrots can give you two. First, you harvest some of the greens while the roots continue growing underground. Then later in the season, you harvest the carrots themselves. And perhaps the biggest benefit is motivation. Every harvest proves your garden is making progress. While slower crops are still developing, your carrots are already producing food. That's why baby carrot greens deserve more attention. Sometimes the fastest harvest isn't a different vegetable. It's simply a different way of harvesting the one you're already growing. At number 12, we have baby kale. Now this one surprises people, because kale has a reputation for taking its time. And if you're waiting for giant mature leaves, that's true. But we're not talking about mature kale. We're talking about baby kale. And that's a completely different game. In roughly 25 to 30 days, young kale leaves are ready to harvest. That's weeks before the plant reaches full size. The younger leaves are softer, sweeter, and far less bitter than mature kale. Many people who claim they hate kale have never actually tried baby kale. And once they do, their opinion changes quickly. But the speed isn't what makes this crop special. It's what happens after the first harvest. Most vegetables give you one big payoff. Baby kale gives you many. Harvest the outer leaves, leave the growing center intact, and the plant keeps producing. Again, and again, and again. That means one planting can continue rewarding you long after the first harvest date. Another advantage is resilience. While many leafy greens struggle when temperatures fluctuate, kale remains surprisingly dependable. Cool weather rarely bothers it. Light frosts often improve its flavor. And that reliability makes it one of the safest vegetables for beginners. By the time some summer vegetables are still building roots, you're already carrying bowls of fresh kale into the kitchen. At number 11, we have mustard greens. If speed had a flavor, it would probably taste like mustard greens. These plants combine rapid growth with bold personality. In just 21 to 25 days, many varieties produce leaves large enough to begin harvesting. That's an impressive timeline considering how much flavor they pack into every leaf. Unlike mild greens that quietly blend into the background, mustard greens make an entrance. Their peppery, spicy bite immediately gets your attention. Some gardeners fall in love with that flavor instantly. Others need a little time. But nobody questions how quickly these plants grow. And once harvesting begins, the rewards keep coming. Just remove the outer leaves and allow the center to continue growing. Before long, fresh leaves replace the ones you've harvested. That cycle can repeat multiple times. Meanwhile, many traditional garden crops haven't even reached a useful size. Another reason mustard greens deserve a spot on this list is toughness. They tolerate cool weather. They handle changing conditions, and they recover quickly from harvesting. These are plants that seem determined to succeed. While slower vegetables spend months preparing for harvest, mustard greens charge forward at full speed. And that's exactly why they belong in a countdown dedicated to vegetables that don't waste your time. At number 10, we have spinach. If there were a hall of fame for fast-growing vegetables, spinach would have its own section. It's one of the most popular leafy greens in America, and for good reason. Most gardeners are surprised to learn that baby spinach leaves can be harvested in as little as 25 to 30 days. That's less time than many people spend planning their summer vacations. What makes spinach especially rewarding is how quickly it transforms from tiny seedlings into something you can actually eat. One day the bed looks empty. A few weeks later, you're clipping handfuls of fresh leaves for salads, smoothies, sandwiches, and omelets. But the real secret isn't waiting for giant spinach plants. Experienced gardeners know that baby spinach is often the best spinach. The leaves are tender, mild, and incredibly versatile. Another advantage is that spinach doesn't demand much space. A container, raised bed, or small garden plot can produce impressive harvests. And because it follows the cut and come again method, one planting can provide multiple rounds of fresh greens. While many summer vegetables are still focused on growing stems and roots, spinach is already doing the job gardeners care about most: producing food. That's why it remains one of the fastest paths from seed packet to dinner plate. At number 9, we have radish. This is the vegetable that creates gardeners. More people have fallen in love with gardening because of radishes than almost any other crop. And once you see how quickly they grow, it's easy to understand why. Many varieties are ready in just 25 days. Think about that. Less than a month after planting, you're pulling fully formed vegetables from the soil. That's almost unheard of in gardening. But what makes radishes truly special is the visible progress. Every day seems to bring noticeable growth. The leaves get bigger. The shoulders of the roots begin pushing above the soil. And anticipation builds with every passing day. Then comes the moment every gardener remembers. You grab the greens, pull upward, and reveal a perfectly formed radish hiding beneath the surface. That simple act creates an instant sense of accomplishment. It's proof that your effort worked. Another reason radishes are so valuable is that they teach patience without demanding too much of it. They introduce beginners to the full gardening cycle, from seed to harvest, in less than a month. Meanwhile, crops like tomatoes and peppers are still figuring out what they want to be when they grow up. Radishes don't waste time. They deliver results. At number 8, we have Mizuna. Most Americans have never grown Mizuna, and that's a shame because this might be one of the most productive vegetables on today's list. Originally from Japan, Mizuna produces elegant, feathery leaves that look almost ornamental. But don't let the appearance fool you. This plant grows incredibly fast. In as little as 21 days, baby leaves are ready to harvest. That's right. 3 weeks after planting, you're already collecting fresh greens, while many gardeners are still waiting for their lettuce to fill out. The flavor is mild, slightly peppery, and incredibly versatile. It works in salads, stir-fries, wraps, and soups. But the real advantage is productivity. Mizuna seems determined to replace every leaf you harvest. Remove the outer growth, and new leaves quickly take their place. This creates a cycle of continuous production that can last for weeks. Another reason Mizuna deserves more attention is resilience. It handles cooler temperatures remarkably well and often outperforms more delicate greens. Many gardeners discover Mizuna by accident. Then it quietly becomes one of their favorite crops. Fast, productive, easy to grow. It's hard to ask for much more than that. At number 7, we have leaf lettuce. Imagine planting once and harvesting salads for weeks. That's exactly what leaf lettuce offers. In roughly 28 days, many varieties reach harvest size, making them one of the fastest sources of fresh food in the garden. But unlike head lettuce, which provides one final harvest, leaf lettuce keeps producing. That's what makes it such a powerful choice for gardeners who value efficiency. Instead of removing the entire plant, you simply harvest the outer leaves. The center continues growing and producing new foliage. This process can repeat again and again. Another reason leaf lettuce is so popular is variety. Green leaves, red leaves, oak leaf, butter leaf, curled leaves, smooth leaves. Entire gardens can be built around different lettuce varieties alone. Yet despite their differences, most share the same important characteristic: speed. Before slower vegetables have reached maturity, leaf lettuce has already delivered multiple meals. And because fresh lettuce loses quality quickly after harvest, homegrown versions often taste dramatically better than store-bought alternatives. That's one reason gardeners rarely stop growing lettuce once they've started. The convenience becomes addictive. Walk outside, harvest dinner, and return to the kitchen. Few vegetables make fresh food feel that easy. At number 6, we have Bok Choy. This vegetable grows so fast it can make beginners look like experts. In just 25 to 30 days, baby Bok Choy can be ready for harvest. That's an incredible turnaround, considering how substantial the plants become. Unlike many leafy greens, Bok Choy feels like a complete vegetable. Thick stems, crisp texture, large leaves. Every harvest feels significant. Another reason Bok Choy belongs near the top of this list is versatility. You can harvest entire baby plants for quick meals, or remove outer leaves and allow the center to continue growing. Either strategy works. And because the plants grow upright, they fit surprisingly well into small spaces and containers. But what really impresses gardeners is how quickly the garden transforms. One week the seedlings look tiny, the next week they're noticeably larger. Then suddenly, they're filling the bed with lush green growth. That rapid progression creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in gardening. The faster people see results, the more excited they become. By the time slower crops are still building roots, you've already harvested fresh Bok Choy and started planning your next planting. And if you think these vegetables were fast, the top 5 are even more impressive. Some of them will reward you before the month is halfway over. At number 5, we have turnip greens. Most people hear the word turnip and immediately think about the root. Smart gardeners know the leaves are often the real prize. In just 21 to 25 days, you can begin harvesting tender turnip greens while the root continues developing below the soil. That means you're essentially getting 2 vegetables from a single planting. The leaves arrive first, and the root comes later. Few crops offer that kind of efficiency. But what makes turnip greens especially valuable is how overlooked they are. While many gardeners spend weeks waiting for a root harvest, experienced growers are already clipping fresh greens for salads, sautés, soups, and side dishes. The flavor is mild when harvested young and becomes richer as the leaves mature. Another advantage is productivity. A small patch can produce a surprising amount of edible foliage in a short period of time. And because the leaves grow above ground, you don't have to wonder what's happening beneath the soil. The progress is visible every day. That's important because visible progress keeps gardeners motivated. While many crops ask you to trust the process, turnip greens constantly show you results. And before most root vegetables are even close to harvest, you've already brought your first crop into the kitchen. At number 4, we have Tatsoi. This may be the most underrated vegetable on today's list. In fact, many gardeners have never even heard of it. But once they grow it, they rarely forget it. Tatsoi forms beautiful dark green rosettes that look almost too perfect to eat. Yet beneath that elegant appearance is one of the fastest growing leafy greens you can plant. In as little as 21 days, baby leaves are ready for harvest. That's only 3 weeks from seed to food. While many vegetables are still trying to establish themselves, Tatsoi is already producing fresh greens. The leaves are tender, slightly sweet, and versatile enough for salads, stir-fries, soups, and wraps. Another reason Tatsoi deserves attention is its resilience. Cool weather barely slows it down. In fact, it often thrives when other greens struggle. But what really makes Tatsoi special is the surprise factor. Most people expect common vegetables to grow quickly. They don't expect an unfamiliar plant to become one of the stars of the garden. That's why Tatsoi creates memorable gardening experiences. It combines speed, beauty, and productivity into one package. And when a vegetable can do all 3, it earns its place near the top of any countdown. At number 3, we have Swiss chard. Now, most gardeners make the same mistake with Swiss chard. They wait, and wait, and wait for the plants to reach full size. The smartest gardeners don't. They harvest baby leaves instead. In roughly 25 days, young Swiss chard leaves are ready to pick, delivering food weeks before the mature plant reaches its full potential. That's what makes this crop so powerful. You don't have to choose between speed and productivity. You get both. The young leaves are tender, mild, and perfect for salads or quick cooking. Then, as the plant continues growing, future harvests become even larger. Another reason Swiss chard belongs this high on the list is longevity. Unlike many fast-growing vegetables that finish quickly, Swiss chard keeps producing for months. Harvest the outer leaves, leave the center intact, and new growth continues appearing. Again and again. The colorful stems add visual appeal to the garden, making it one of the few vegetables that looks ornamental while also being highly productive. And while some gardeners are still waiting for their first major harvest from slower crops, Swiss chard has already paid them back multiple times. At number 2, we have pea shoots. These aren't peas, at least not in the way most people think about them. When people grow peas, they usually wait for pods. That can take months. But smart gardeners discovered something better. The shoots themselves are delicious, and they're ready much sooner. In just 14 to 21 days, pea shoots can be harvested and eaten. That's right. While most gardeners are waiting for flowers, you're already harvesting food. The shoots are sweet, tender, and packed with fresh pea flavor. Many chefs consider them a gourmet ingredient. Restaurants often charge premium prices for something gardeners can grow at home in just a few weeks. Another advantage is density. A small tray can produce a surprisingly large harvest. The shoots grow rapidly, creating a lush carpet of greenery that seems to appear overnight. And because they grow so quickly, they provide one of the fastest gardening victories available. By the time many traditional vegetables are still working on their first true leaves, pea shoots have already completed their mission. They've become food. That's why they rank so high on today's list. Few vegetables deliver results this quickly. And finally, at number 1, we have baby beet greens. The fastest harvest isn't always the vegetable people expect. Most gardeners grow beets for the roots hidden underground. But the real secret is above the soil. In as little as 21 days, baby beet greens are ready to harvest. That's weeks before the roots are anywhere near maturity. The leaves are tender, nutritious, and stunningly beautiful. Their deep green surfaces and vibrant red veins make them stand out from almost every other leafy green in the garden. But what truly earns them the top spot is efficiency. You're not waiting months for a single harvest. You're getting food almost immediately while the roots continue developing for a future harvest. It's like getting paid twice from the same investment. Another reason baby beet greens are so satisfying is the visual progress. Every day, the leaves become larger, fuller, and more colorful. The garden feels alive. The harvest feels close. And before the month is over, you're already clipping fresh greens for salads, sandwiches, smoothies, and sautés. Meanwhile, many gardeners are still waiting for their first meaningful harvest of the season. Baby beet greens prove something powerful. Sometimes the fastest food isn't hidden underground. It's right in front of you the entire time. What all 15 of these vegetables prove is something most people never realize. The biggest barrier to gardening isn't space, it isn't money, and it isn't even skill. It's waiting too long for results. Fast-growing vegetables change everything. They build confidence, they create momentum, and most importantly, they give you food while the rest of the garden is still growing. Every harvest becomes proof that your efforts are working. That's why experienced gardeners almost always include a few quick crops in every planting season. They understand that success breeds success. The sooner you harvest, the more motivated you become to keep growing. And here's the surprising part. Some of the vegetables on today's list can be harvested multiple times before slower crops produce anything at all. So if you thought harvesting in 30 days was impressive, Just wait until you discover the crops that can keep producing for months from a single planting. Because once you experience your first fast harvest, gardening stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like winning.